So the question is, what does the Bible say about aggravating siblings? Man, how's your quarantine going these days? I think we all know what that feels like in a sense if we're having to, be crowded in that family setting during quarantine right now. Temperatures and emotions are rising and boiling over and all that stuff. Well, the thing is, man, the Bible is replete with examples of siblings that don't get along well. And there's some terrible things that happen between them. But I want you to turn to a positive example of someone who does this well, and that's found in Numbers chapter 12. Now, we actually had a Sunday school lesson about this a few weeks ago. It'll take like 30 seconds to read through. It's a very short chapter. Now, the situation here in Numbers 12 is Moses has just gotten remarried, and his older siblings, Aaron and Miriam, start grumbling about him. They're jealous and they're talking trash about him. Now, I know I probably just described a typical day in your household between you and your siblings, right? And the thing is, Moses' new wife, history tells us that she came from a noble warrior people. So that was probably part of the jealousy that his siblings are feeling. And I'm sure on top of that, leading up to all this, maybe they're a little bit tired about little brother leading all them. And they're like, man, God uses us. He speaks through us also. Why is he such a big deal? And so guys, I want you to see what Moses does to handle this. Now, you can look at his example and learn from that instead of being another Rachel and Leah, another Cain and Abel, another Jacob and Esau. All right, a lot of those non-examples that we shouldn't follow. So that's an example to follow. But secondly, I would like you to also study out of Romans chapter 12. This is a passage that talks about dealing with enemies in general, which, sometimes your brother or sister can feel that way. Now, verse 18 simply says, if possible, so far as it depends on you, live peaceably with all. That's a huge household challenge right there with everything that we're going through lately. And then also, verse 20, the end of it, it talks about doing good to your enemy. And whenever you treat them well, it says you will heap burning coals on his head. That's actually a method of judgment that they can feel whenever they're mistreating you. Because, if you're like me, being the youngest in the family, you're always the innocent one and it's always their fault, right? But then thirdly, I want to offer you a perspective to consider, okay? Instead of zooming in on your particular problems with your siblings during this time, zoom out a little bit and let's remember how blessed we are during this time. We still have so much to be thankful for, okay? And I'm reminded of something I saw on Twitter not too long ago from a young lady that lost a sibling of hers. And she had tweeted something to the effect of, people are complaining about being close with their family during this time. I would do anything to have all my family back together. And I was just like, wow. What a perspective right there, that sometimes we get too selfish and too caught up in the moment of our frustration to consider, you know what, God, I still have it so good. There's so much hurt going on in the world right now. Thank you for what I have and who I have. So maybe our situations aren't always as bad as we consider. Maybe your siblings not as terrible as you make them out to be after all. And I'm sure with these challenges and examples from Scripture, there's a lot of extra effort we could do to live peaceably with all. Hey, thanks again for joining us for Q&A. Remember, you can submit your own question anonymously by texting that number on your screen.